Recently, President Donald Trump pardoned a man who was convicted of helping import 400 tons of cocaine into the United States. I mean, think about that, right? Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, was sentenced to 45 years for what the Justice Department, the Biden Justice Department, had called one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world. Prosecutors were able to show at his trial that he took millions of dollars in cartel bribes, rigged elections, and protected drug shipments that ended up in American communities. Well, no wonder Trump likes him. Okay, not only is he probably Don Jr.'s supplier, but he rigged elections and took bribes. Oh, I love those things. I'll do those things too. But look, Trump pardoned this guy. His justification, of course, is that, people I greatly respect told me he was treated very harshly, very unfairly. Okay. Yes, it was Roger Stone. Okay, and maybe likely with Don Jr. Because, guys really seems to allegedly love his nose candy. I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. But look, again, that was the only reason. Not because of any new evidence. Not because it was a wrongful conviction. And turns out he was the fall guy. I mean, that's insane when you think about it. The president of Honduras being a fall guy. Really? But no, it's just Trump saying, the people I respect. That always usually means lobbyists and political allies. Okay? So now, here's where this gets kind of interesting. It shows that there's some cracks here in MAGA world. Among the Republican Party, at least. I mean, you got Republicans out there that are like, this doesn't actually make any sense. What's going on here? So one of them is Senator Thom Tillis, who's a North Carolina Republican who backed Donald Trump's tough on drugs posture. He said, quote, couldn't understand why Trump issued the pardon, and also admitted that it undercut Trump's efforts to crack down on drug traffickers at home and abroad, including in Venezuela. But by the way, Venezuela is not actually about drugs. We all know this, okay? Let's not pretend that it's about drug traffickers and going after the narcos. No, it's about stealing the oil, okay? Venezuela has a ton of oil. And our American corporations, they're salivating over it, okay? They got big old googly eyes over this oil, all right? They want it. They want it bad. So, but anyway, even one of the guys who was cheering on the disastrous drug war is like, this doesn't look very good. In fact, it makes your entire anti-drug message look like a joke. Well, that's because it is. I know. And so that's Thom Tillis. Now you've got Rand Paul. Rand Paul, who sometimes is principled. Sometimes. He called it, quote, craziness. I mean, basically he said, if drugs kill people, and if Hernandez is responsible for shoving cocaine, quote, up the nose of Americans, then could you not say that he is responsible for hundreds of, if not thousands of deaths for American citizens? Yeah, you could say that following that logic, right? But Trump, of course, what does he do? He's like, pardon. Criminals of a feather and all that. Look, when Rand Paul is sounding like the moral conscience of the Republican Party, things are just messed up. Everything's gone off the rails, okay? You got Thom Tillis and Rand Paul out basically saying out loud what the rest of the Republican Party is too scared to admit, that this pardon blows a hole straight through Trump's so-called law and order branding, which is, again, it's always been a joke. The man is a absolute criminal, okay? But remember what Republicans have been telling us. We're at war with the drug cartels. And we're obsessed with the fentanyl at the border. We got to stop the fentanyl. Yes, we want harsher sentences, more militarization, more crackdowns against the drugs. No, really, you do, huh? I mean, Trump has even launched military strikes on alleged drug boats and has even threatened escalations in Venezuela, for example, over alleged trafficking. But when it comes to having a convicted cocaine trafficker who moved product by the ton, okay, a man prosecutors linked to hundreds, maybe thousands of deaths. Suddenly, Trump's like, no, I'm feeling very merciful. And then the rest of the Republican Party loses their voice. Weird. I mean, no emergency hearings, no primetime Fox meltdowns about undermining the fight against drugs and the cartels. Just two Republicans breaking ranks, while the rest of them are just like, what can you do? Look, that's the real story here, okay? Not that every single Republican is lockstep on this, but even the ones who can see the craziness mostly stop at just giving a quote. And nothing else changes. Because at the end of the day, law and order is a modern, in the modern GOP, is basically conditional. That's it. If you're a poor person, if you are desperate, if you are vulnerable, and you happen to have drugs on you, well, then we've got zero tolerance. Lock you away, all right? Throw you in prison and get rid of the key, all right? But if you are politically useful, if you are well-connected, and if your lobbyists can get in the president's ear, then suddenly 45 years for 400 tons of coke is very harsh and very unfair. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Now, look, yes, okay, a little bit, tiny bit of credit to Tom Tillis and Rand Paul for at least admitting it. I mean, that's I'm damning with faint praise here, guys, okay, for saying the quiet part out loud. But let's be very, very clear about what their criticism actually proves. They know that this pardon is indefensible, like many of them, okay? They know it exposes Trump's drug war as just nothing more than political theater. And they know that it makes a mockery of every single speech that they've given about cartels and the poison being shipped in our communities. Okay? When Trump had to choose between standing with the victims of one of the biggest coke trafficking networks in history or standing with the man who helped run it, well, he chose to support the trafficker. And that's not exactly a surprise either. Because, I mean, when it comes to sex trafficking or alleged sex trafficking, Trump also stood with that guy, Andrew Tate, and his brother. So that just kind of shows you which direction he leans, okay? And while a couple of Republicans were willing to call this out as crazy, the party as a whole is still telling you that this is the guy that we need to trust for law and order. If this video helped you cut through the BS and see what is really happening, then smash that like button. Every single like pushes back against the right-wing propaganda machine. I can't do this work without your support. So please check out my Patreon. Link is in the description of this video. For a few bucks a month, you can help keep this channel independent from corporate BS. So hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's keep fighting for democracy and against fascism together.